I've read all the Imakoi. I haven't read Punch Drunk Love. I could do that to add a little bit more manhwa. I just want to sleep for my birthday like that. That's the perfect gift. That's all I want is to sleep.
Textbook insane. Now I'd like to draw this line.
Think, Ashley.
So many
Don't
times.
think. Conceal. Don't feel. Okay, so this video is going to be confusing, right? I know this is wild. What an introduction. This video is going to be confusing because it starts off as a regular vlog. Don't mind me, okay? It does. It starts off as a regular vlog because I was doing weekly vlogs at 30 and 30. However, it's September, and one thing that I should know about September, it's birthday season for me, and so things never ever go as planned. But I was like, you know what, let's turn this into a read it or haul it, and still chaos ensues, because what is my life without just a tad bit of chaos and inconsistency? If you've been here, you know how this goes. You can't expect that much from me as a content creator, but I'm just here to let you know, to establish the confusion that's going to be caused by this video, which is why this is a reader or a haul it, maybe a question mark, right? I mean, it does turn into a read it or a haul it, but it doesn't start that way. Anyway, I just thought I would pop in here to kind of give you some better context, and you will see me again at the very end. I hope you enjoy the chaos that this video brings to your life. Much love. Hello. I literally just finished this past week's vlog. I was gonna try to get the vlog up on Sunday, right? But then things happened this weekend and it just didn't happen. So I was like, okay, I'm just not getting the vlog up. So it's gonna go up tomorrow, which is Tuesday, which is fine. I really, honestly, as long as I have about 5-6 days, and I usually go anywhere between 4 to 6 days in between videos. As long as that's kind of somewhat the consistency that I'm going for, I don't really care. I'm not gonna be hard pressed. It's easy to get caught into this thing, oh my god, I'm gonna miss the posting date. But then I remind myself, this is a hobby. It doesn't pay my bills. I just do this as a little part-time shebang little gig. That's it. That's all it is. That's all it is, my friends. So that we're gonna keep it as such. But I did well last week. I'm looking at the volumes that I read here last week, and I did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Not me literally just filming this clip, and I think I said I read 12, and I'm like, but girl, did you read 12? Now we're going on Goodreads. And Goodreads, let me tell you something. Goodreads challenges are wrong now. The count under the Goodreads challenge is wrong because it counts multiple books. If I read a book on my Kindle, it automatically counts it. And then I update on Goodreads, and so it counts the Kindle book and it's counting the Goodreads book, and it's just stupid. Which is why I keep up my own shelf. This data is so disgustingly inaccurate, which is wild. Okay. Oh, I was leaving out Insomniacs Volume 10. So there are 3 volumes here that are not represented. So that should be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So yeah, I read 12 volumes last week, which for me is good. I always tell y'all September is easier for me to do than April. April just feels like it's starting to be the end of the fiscal year for me at work. It's award season. It's a lot of things going on for me in April. In April for me, I think springtime emotionally, I'm just not good in springtime. Fall always feels like it's my season to thrive, and because it's my season to thrive, I feel like, okay, I can do a little bit better. You know what I'm saying? I feel a little bit better. So this week, what are our expectations? What are we thinking? Once again, we're not going into the week with any expectations. I am hoping to do 2 volumes a day again. I technically will hit my 2 volumes for today, but I may read a little bit more, just to give myself that cushion. I know that I think this week, physically for me, it should be a little bit easier just, you know, TMI cycle wise, I should be a little bit better energy and mood wise this week, a tad bit better. Next week is going to be the week in which I flourish, but this week it should be a tad bit better than last week. I'm surprised I actually did as well as I did last week, considering how much exhaustion I was feeling last week and how my body was feeling last week. I'm very surprised at how well I did last week. So I have already finished a volume today. I read it during my lunch break, and it is a manga that Scholastic Graphics in print picked up, which I'm very surprised. It was originally published in Japan, and it is a manga, but I don't think I've ever seen them acquire manga, so this is just a whole different thing for me. And I remember when I bought it from my library, and then today I was like, oh gosh, I left all of my manga at home, and I was like, I don't know what I should read. So I went on Hoopla. I was like, what's something I can check out really quick? And then it popped up, and it's Hikaru and the Light Volume 1, which feels really weird reading Hikaru and the Light when I'm reading Hikaru, The Summer Hikaru Died, because they share a name, but one is like very, very poppy and bubbly, and the Summer Hikaru Died is not. I really, really liked it a lot. It is a 14-year-old girl who is really good at singing, and she has a close friend that used to be an idol, or is an idol at the beginning of the manga, and then she had the opportunity at one point to do it with her friend, but she's like, no, you know, you got to be a special person to be an idol. I'm not special. And then there's this competition that happens, and they get the opportunity to like audition, try out to be an idol. I don't know, I just like Hikaru like as a character. She's really, really sweet. The songs that she sings are like old school songs from like the 70s and 80s, like US R&B at that, which I find very, very interesting. But it's full color. You know, we don't necessarily get a lot of those, and those are usually, you know, more expensive, but it's full color. It's just really, really fun, and it's great. It's a great way to introduce a middle grade audience to manga, right? She's 14, and I can see it working for like a younger teen, but also like middle grade, that like manga. I think this is another great selection for them. I know we typically don't have a lot. Like we have Pokemon and Yotsuba are available for like that middle grade age, but having this one in as well, I think is really, really cool. So I enjoy that. I also decided to read on my Kindle. Today was a digital reading day. Just ended up being a digital reading day. Samari and the Guardian of the Forest Volume 2. This one's a lot darker than the first one. Like the first one was dark, but we're getting the backstory of a character in this one that's not a main character but is connected. How do I phrase this? The golem meets a character in this one, and in their conversation we're getting that character's backstory, and that character's backstory it's really, really dark. It's a lot darker than what I anticipated. It's really sad, but I'm enjoying it. I only have a little bit more of that left, so I'm going to go ahead and finish that up. Last week, I ended up finishing volume 7 of Apothecary Diaries, so that means that we are ready to move on. I brought volumes 8 and 9 home from the library, so we'll be working on those. I think one thing I do want to keep up, I say no expectations, but this one thing that I do want to keep up is that I started leaning heavily again into my library reads, which there's nothing wrong with that, right? Support your local library. However, at the same time, I also need to be reading things from my physical TBR, and I think I only read 1, 2, 3, 4. I only read 4 things from my physical TBR, and I would rather it be half and half. So it should have been 6 and 6 last week, and unfortunately it wasn't. It was 4 and 8, and I really do want to change that. So I am prioritizing the Apothecary Diaries because I do want to catch up, but I also have read 2 manga from the library today, but I need to pick 2 volumes of manga off of my shelf to read. I've got to pick 2 volumes. Hold on. Let's do that now. Or maybe I can take y'all with me. I've read all the Imakoi. I haven't read Punch Drunk Love. I could do that to add a little bit more manhwa. I have not read any of those. None of those I've read. But I've read all that stuff on that side except for 5 centimeters per second and After We Gaze at the Starry Sky. I read that one. I could do Deified Island back there, volume 2. I could do another volume of Aoharu Ride, because one of these days I'm going to learn how to say that. Or I should probably pick up Perfect World, because I read volume 1 of that and haven't finished. Because then we get over here and we have more. I could do Nana, because one of the prompts is to read from your favorite series. I also could pick up Last Quarter or volume 2 of Blue Lock, because I haven't done that. I should pick up volume 3 of Kaiju or volume 3 of Delicious in Dungeon. I have options. Okay, hold on. Let me think. Let me pick something. Okay, I only have like a couple seconds because my thing's gonna die. All right, so I decided to go with one I haven't read and one that I have read as my selections here. So we're gonna go with volume 13 of Food Wars. I could make a very strong effort to get through what I need to get through for Food Wars. It is a longer series, but that's okay. Not a problem. And then we're going to do Delicious in Dungeon Volume 3. The only thing about reading Delicious in Dungeon Volume 3 is going to piss me off that I don't have Volume 4. I can always just read it from the library. And if I get desperate, I can always go back and buy the series. But we are going to read this, because this was the latest volume. This is one of the last volumes of manga that I bought. This and Kaiju number 8 volume 3 were one of the latest volumes that I bought, because of the fact that long story there. All right, that's it for this introduction. We're gonna go ahead and get this ball rolling. I need to edit that vlog so I can get it up tomorrow. It is already 8:30. This is wild. All right, y'all. I'll check in when I have an update. Hello. Okay. I decided to actually not drive, and check in today. I just wanted to hop in really quick and say that I did not end up finishing Somali in the Forest Volume 2 on Monday night, so I used it as my volume to finish last night, which was Tuesday. I wasn't really feeling too hot. I had patron sprints, but I wasn't feeling great at all for some reason. I don't know what was happening with me yesterday. Anyway, wasn't feeling too hot yesterday, so I ended up finishing Somali in the Forest Volume 2, and I started Volume 1 of My Dress Up Darling, which I'm gonna have so many thoughts about, okay? Like, it is, I can see why it's a slightly controversial series and why people say they don't openly recommend it, right? I think I definitely understand why people say they don't openly recommend it. And I also understand why people are like, oh, I find it really, really charming though. Like, it's a good story. It's just, it's from the perspective of a 15-year-old boy. And there are some things in there that I could understand why people are like, I'm good. Like, even me in reading it, I'm like, there's a little bit of hesitancy in picking that manga up, right? But I already own Volume 1, so I was like, I'm just gonna go and read through it. I actually finished like 75% of it last night, and so I probably will wrap that up today. I'm not hitting my 2 volumes a day so far this week, which is perfectly fine. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is the ultimate goal, but we get done what we get done. It all depends upon like how I'm feeling, what I got going on, other materials that I'm reading, because I also spent a good chunk of my time yesterday reading Phantasma, because I just need to finish that. And I have not had the time to sit down and really dedicate or really like be invested in the story again. And so I read a huge chunk of that last night, which took a little time away from me reading my manga. But I did post week 1's vlog yesterday because my timing is off because of this past weekend. I highly doubt I'm going to post this one on Sunday. What I'm going to do is probably post it on Monday and try to inch my way back to Sunday. Or I may just keep the Tuesday schedule. I don't know. It all depends on how I feel. We're just going with feelings right now. I do want to get another video up at some point though, maybe on Friday, about some beginner graphic novel recommendations. I've been wanting to do that video for a while and I haven't sat down to actually do the video, so hopefully do that. But that's all I wanted to say, is that I did read last night. It's not what I wanted to read completely, but okay, so I literally had recorded a whole clip and then my phone did that weird, you need to optimize because your space is full, blah 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 blah. So typically what does end up happening is that I get that clip back once it, doesn't act weird anymore. So fingers crossed that I get that clip back. And if I don't get that clip back, then this is just a random clip of me inserting myself saying, hey, I made it to work, I'm about to go. I was saying that at some point I decided that I was going to get back on my treadmill routine because I had slipped away from doing it in August, and I said I was going to get back into it in September because I was going to get back into it in September because I just simply needed to. And so, God, this is just weird situation happening in front of me right now, and I'm trying not to watch. This is the only time that I hate like really vlogging in my car, which is why I set my phone up so I could vlog while I'm driving, because I hate sitting here because it leaves the door open for things that I'm not happy with. But anyway, I probably will read a Haru Ride on my Kindle, even though I own the physical copies, but it'll be easier for me to read it on there while I am walking on the treadmill. So yes. But yeah, hopefully this is not a random clip, me just inserting and you don't have any context. But if you do not have any context, welcome to the crazy ride that is my life. Anyway, hopefully I will get that clip back. We'll see what happens.
Above me, I saw no shadow. I looked around, searched every building and home that I found. I saw no shadow, but felt a glow. The warmth inside me, it kept me afloat. It felt like heaven had found my bones and gave me comfort when I feel alone. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm living breath, I saw no way out from where I stood. Felt like the fire had burned me for. Now you're gone, I'm alone. I guess it's time to get better. Through the pain, I will go alone. If I fall, break my bones, I will scream even louder. 'Cause I'm not dying alone. I lost my best friend.
Hello, I'm doing a check-in and I am not feeling 100%. I have a headache. I feel like I have a headache coming on and it's not fun, and this has just not been great today. It's fine though. I just wanted to hop in and give y'all an update. I did sprints last night for like 3 hours for 30 and 30 and did get some reading done. So what did I read? I actually ended up finishing volume 3 and 4 of The Summer Hikaru Died. And I think this is like a really, really creepy series. I was telling Alana, because Alana was on sprints with me last night, I told Alana, I was like, I'm not watching the anime of this. It's creepy enough for me to watch, to read this as a manga. I can't watch the anime. These were 4 stars each. This is better than what I anticipated. A lot better than what I anticipated, but still y'all, like still it's a lot. So literally I only have volume 5 to finish and I'm caught up with the series until volume 6 drops next month, and it doesn't come out till the end of next month. I'm supposed to be doing sprints with Alana tonight. I don't know what I'm going to read. This vlog is not going to go up until Tuesday because it's just how I've done my schedule. I got another video going up tomorrow with some graphic novel recommendations, which should be fun. I haven't done like a graphic novel recommendation video in a minute, so that does not me dropping the mic. That's how lackadaisical I am right now, and it's already 9:30 and I still have to put all these graphic novels up. Let's see, hold on, I'm gonna go to Goodreads really quick. I am going to finish Hirayasumi volume 2, which is really, really light, more contemporary feel to it, and I'm really most of the way through that, so I just want to go ahead and finish that. I don't know if I can't remember if I updated y'all or not. Pretty sure I did not talk about My Dress Up Darling Volume 1, nor did I talk about Let's Eat Together, Aki and Haru Volume 1. Okay. So I own both of those, and editing me is going to be pissed. I'm pissed at myself already right now. I'm sorry, Ashley. Future editing, Ashley. I'm really, really sorry. I own both of those, and I'm going to unhaul both of those. I did not really care for either one of them. So My Dress Up Darling, I gave 2.5 stars to. I know that My Dress Up Darling is a beloved series. There are people that I love that love it, that adore it. It just was not a series for me, right? My Dress Up Darling had potential for me to be a really, really great series about like fashion design and men that are in fashion design and kind of like societal expectations in terms of like gender roles. We have a teenage girl that is a secondary character who is into cosplay, but is into cosplaying someone who is a sex slave, and that just made me uncomfortable in the sense that it pushes the envelope in a way that did not make me feel okay. It definitely is, a lot of it has to do with the fact that it is from the perspective of a teenage boy, right? And so I think the mangaka is true to how he would perceive things, but the hypersexualization of a teenage girl in this one was, it just went too far for me, and nothing happens happens on page or anything like that, but there are moments where I think like culturally it just didn't work for me, and so it's not one, and people who enjoy the series often state like this is not one that everyone is going to enjoy. It's not one that I would openly recommend to a lot of people, and I think that's a greater conversation of culturally what we accept in nations, like, right? So fan service is not something that is uncommon in manga, and I think that that is something, and I could be wrong about this, but I think that that is something that is different culturally. Like, United States is very prudish, to be fair, and I'm not saying that we should openly sexualize minors, because I know somebody would take that and run with that. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that we are very different in how we talk about sexuality, sex as a whole, sex work, kinks, all of that, right? I'm outside of the context of this book. We are. Whereas other nations, I think, are not so much. And it's fascinating to me because violence is not held to the same standard here as sex is, right? So sex is like full stop censorship. We're kind of prudish about it, but violence, we're okay with it. Like, violence is just, it's not where we necessarily draw the line, whereas other nations would. And so that's why I say I think that a lot of times when I look at certain things in terms of fan service, I know where my limits are, but I also am not quick to necessarily pass judgment, because I think there is a cultural difference that exists. And I say that from the experience of having someone point out that they had an issue with a manga series because of the violence, but I mean, they had an issue with the manga series because of the fan service, and these were adults. They had an issue with the fan service, but said nothing about the extreme violence that happened, and that, I think, speaks to, once again, that cultural divide where Americans have become so desensitized to violence, but when exposed to things that are more sexual in nature, we're very like, oh no, we've got to stop that. That's where we draw the line. We close the door on that. So I just, those cultural differences are very, very interesting to me. And but for me, I know that this was just not going to continue to work because of just her hobby. It was the hobby, really, honestly. I was like, I just can't do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just couldn't do it. Even with understanding, like, the perspective that I was reading from, I was just like, I couldn't. Because there were some panels for me where I was like, oh, wow. You know? And this is coming from someone who reads Food Wars that does have some scenes that are questionable in nature, that takes the idea of a foodgasm and illustrates it in a way that really does push the envelope. In some aspects. This is also someone who's read Ocean of Code as well, that has a very pushes the envelope entry point, right? That can make people feel uncomfortable. But this one, for me, I knew for me, it was not going to work specifically for me. The other one that I ended up reading, Let's Eat Together, Aki and Haru. I don't know how I got this initial volume, but I must say, like, it just was not one that it wasn't that it was inherently bad, right? It was just boring. We're following these two main characters who live together. They're clearly, this is I forget what the line is. This is Tokyo Pop's love line, I think. And I could be getting it wrong, but this is where they feature queer romances, and I love that aspect of it, right? I've read some other titles from the love line that I've actually enjoyed, but this one was just really dull. Like, there was no energy to it. We're following the two of them. They're roommates. Clearly there feels to be like there's some romantic tension there. I love the recipes, but it just was like, what else do you have to give me, right? Like, it doesn't seem like there was anything else there. Nothing of substance. I felt like the artwork was a little too chaotic, as well as when we're talking about text placement. Like, we had the primary space, like speech bubbles, but then there were all these random chunks of text everywhere, and it just became oversaturated with things on the page, and it looked messy. If you know me as someone who reads a lot of art-based literature, text placement and cleanliness of work is a huge deal for me, right? This had too much going on page. It was too jumbled up. The text is like, it was too small. It was not laid out very well. And I was really at some points just like, when is this going to be over? But I read it because I owned a copy, and I was like, part of the process of me reading these is also for me to make sure that I am going through and reading the manga that I own, especially because I think next week's vlog I'm going to go ahead and do a read it or unhaul it, but I'm going to do a read it or unhaul it manga edition, and I'm really going to push to read the manga that's on my shelf, and if I don't like it, it's gonna have to go, right? It's just unfortunate that the two that I read for this vlog are two that I am going to unhaul, because it just was not, they just didn't work for me. So what I've been doing is kind of like a 2 on 2 off. So because I read those two, I was able to read volume 3 and 4 of the Sama Hikaru Died from the library, because I didn't want to just read things from the library. I did have Food Wars volume 13, but I realized that it would essentially be a reread, and I could count it for her kid, but I'm trying to decide how I'm going to do that, because I know also like part of the rules are that you have to read 10 new books before you can pick up a reread, and I've read 43 new books according to the spreadsheet that I looked at today. 43 books that I've read have been new to me titles that are not rereads, and so there's about 4 rereads that I can do, but we'll see if I'm going to get to that. I do need to read my copy of Delicious in Dungeon. I know that I said I was going to read Hira Yasumi volume 2, which I am, because I think that's just going to be really quick, but I also need to go to my shelf and find something else that I'm going to read. I don't know what that's going to be honest with you, but when I get off of this, I'm going to go look and see what I can find that I have an interest in, and I'll let y'all know how that ends up going, and whenever I have an update, I will check in again with y'all probably tomorrow. We'll see how that goes. I'll check in later. Bye. So I filmed a clip before this, and then I ended up deleting the clip. We had a birthday party tonight. My kiddo just had a birthday. My birthday is tomorrow, and we were bringing stuff into the house. A fly got in, and so I have this fly spray, and I sprayed it, and I think it's low-key kind of cruel, because I feel like they die like really slow. Like they go like batshit crazy, and then they just die. And so I sprayed one, and it is currently running around, like flying around, losing its mind. And I hate the way flies sound. It makes my skin crawl. Like, I absolutely hate it. That being in a room full of flies would be absolute torture for me. Like, I don't like it. It's very disturbing. It's very uncomfortable. But yes, where was I going with this? Oh yeah, so I filmed a clip, right? This is probably going to be really weird, because one, this vlog has been going on for like a week and a half, 2 weeks. I don't know. Time is a very funny thing. Who knows how long this vlog actually has been going on? It probably would have been going on for 2 weeks, except I didn't vlog at all this week. So then technically it's going on for 3 weeks. But we're about to switch it up a little bit, and we're about to make this a read it or unhaul it video. Is it weird for me to do this in the middle of a video? Sure, possibly. Do I care? No, I really don't, because this is my channel, my video. I make the rules around here, right? I have got to stop getting into this mentality of like, there's a certain prescribed set of rules that I must follow when it comes to content creation, because I think I get in that way. And I think that's weird for me to have that mentality when it's not something that's necessarily needed. So we're going to continue to do the 30 and 30 thing, right? We're going to continue to do that. But what we're going to do is we're now going to introduce read it or unhaul it. And I probably will do a disclaimer at the beginning of this video saying like, hey, by the way, part of this is 30 and 30. It's still 30 and 30, but I incorporate this video into a read it or unhaul it video. whatever. So we're gonna make this read it or unhaul it manga edition / graphic novel edition, right? I'm still trying to finish up some stuff for 30 and 30. These past few days have been really hectic, and so for right now I don't really know where I'm at in the grand scheme of things when it comes down to 30 and 30. I can't even remember what I talked about. I'm pretty sure I talked about Let's Eat, Aki and Haru, which I was not a fan of. I think I talked about Mesh Dress Up Darling, which I was not a fan of. A couple things I don't think I talked about is I read, and because I don't want to butcher the name of this series, and knowing me, I would chop it up. What is going on? You know, I am so sick of Goodreads. Goodreads logs me out and like just kicks me out their system continuously to where I have to log in and log out and all types of crazy foolery. Okay, so I reviewed it. When I say I'm a mess, child, I'm a mess. Okay, so I read Hirayasumi Volume 2. I feel like I already talked about the fact that I read The Summer Hikaru Died 3 and 4. I'm pretty sure I talked about that. But I read Hirayasumi Volume 2. Really enjoyed it with the next one on hold. But it was one day recently that I just went through a reading spiel. And so I also ended up reading Eat. This was really weird, and I am not keeping it. So let me go back really quick. I read these two. These were part of my collection. I'm unhauling both of them. I read Eat as well. I'm unhauling this. This, I think, could have been good because it would have been an exploration of kinks and the kind of shame that can come with having a kink. But the way that our main character acquires their kink is closely related to sexual assault, and I was not a fan of the way that the mangaka, like, I didn't like it. But it is about a wolf that finds pleasure in other people eating, but to the point where he wants to be eaten himself. And there's this weird professor-student situation, and then there's some other things that are revealed that were just strange, and then it ends on a really weird note. I don't know. It was just a lot of weird things going on, and I'm just not the intended audience, and that's okay. My preference is just not there. And so that 3 volumes already that have got to go. They're going to go in my box that I have across the room where I keep the stuff that I'm unhauling, and then I take it to the secondhand bookstore and I let them sell it or take it and sell it. I also read Hyperventilation. This is a manhwa that was done by Tokyo Pop, and I gave it 3 stars, right? I thought that the storyline had some real potential. I liked the dynamic between our 2 main characters. Clearly, there was a lot of history there from high school, and they didn't really get to explore that relationship, and it takes a reunion for them to finally both kind of let their guard down, and be like, okay, this is something that we have wanted and haven't really had the opportunity to explore. I just think that we could have had a lot more character development. That one is definitely a bit, much for the average reader. I also read, hold on, let me grab it because editing me would piss if I don't. I also read from my collection, Punch Drunk Love. This is another manhwa that I wouldn't recommend this one to everyone. It is a BL title where we have a really dorky office worker who is into, I don't think he's like his direct boss, but he's high up in the company, and he's been fiending for him for a very, very long time. And things get a little weird when this is the office worker who finds out that he is into men. Things get really, because he's like, well, I don't even know if he's into men. He's definitely into men. And things get a little bit wonky. And he's in, well, it's kind of unclear that whether he's really into BDSM, because when he talks about it, it's kind of like he's not really necessarily into it. He's still like exploring himself. But he is like, oh, okay, well, this guy is just really into me and it's just really weird. And it's making me like not super comfortable, but sure, like we can have an arrangement or whatever, make things work. And little does he know, the office worker I think has like a degradation kink. And so he thinks he's like humiliating him and making him feel bad, but in the other guy's mind, he's like, yeah, no, this is great. Like, be meaner, like, be more awful to me. And it's really funny. Like, I did not expect this to be funny. And it took a while for me to realize, like, oh, this is like, there's humor behind it, because there's so much miscommunication going on, because how they perceive each other is not really what's going on in the other one's mind. And it's a mess. Let me tell you, it's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. It's a mess. But it was funny enough. And I'm going to go with a 3.5 for that one. So I've read 4 things off of my shelf so far. 3 of them gotta go. My goal or my intention with my Read It or Unhaul It, I think I titled them Read It or Unhaul It. But to be fair, like at the same time, it's not so much about me trying to get my TBR to a certain point. I just need to get through things that are on my shelf. And it's not because I buy a lot. It's just I get sent a lot of things, solicited and unsolicited, and some of the things I'm like really, really interested in and I keep, but then it takes me forever to get to them. And so this month I've done a very, very good job about reading things that I own on my shelf. Like a really good job. I've done a really good job of reading things that I physically own on my shelf. A lot more than I've done any single month, and so I want to make sure I keep that effort up. So while we are still doing 30 and 30 in the background, we are tying in this essence of Read It or Unhaul It, but I'm also going to be trying to make it through some of my graphic novels that I have on my shelf. I don't think, to be honest with you, I don't think I'm going to touch the comics. I think I will leave that for a whole different situation, but anything that is a graphic novel, whether it is for a young adult audience or middle grade audience, like I'm going to be reading it over the course of the next week. And you know, to be honest with you, I almost wanted to reset this because I'm used to my vlogs going up on Sundays. I don't like that I got off schedule. I don't like that I was posting my vlogs on days that were not Sundays. It just personally bothered me. So I am going to put off posting a vlog for one more week, and then I will upload this one on the 28th. And then by that time, we will be shifting back into doing my daily vlogs, or my weekly vlogs that will be going up on Sundays. But yeah, I didn't like that I was getting so like off schedule. I'm not saying that I have to necessarily, like I have to do a schedule, but I like the schedule. The schedule makes me feel comfortable. The schedule makes me feel secure. Because I know what to anticipate and I know what I have going on, and that's just me. That's just weirdo me, just likes that comfort of a routine. So there's that. All right, that is it for right now though. Sorry for the random shake up or the change up, but I'm about to chill out. It is not super late. It's after 10. It's not super late. We actually did not end up going that late for the birthday party. It was 4 to 9, which isn't that bad. So I'm probably going to grab a little bit of something else that we cooked today Probably watch, what did I find that was on, I didn't know was streaming on Peacock. I didn't know that The Mummy was streaming on Peacock, so I may watch The Mummy. I've been watching Love Island Games. Love Island always ends up having me in a chokehold, and it doesn't need to have me in a chokehold, but Love Island Games actually has been decent, much better than season 7 of Love Island, so we may do that. I don't know. We'll see how things go, but tomorrow's my birthday. I just plan on laying around the house and reading. I just want to sleep. I told my child, she was like, you don't want to do anything for your birthday? And I was like, no, you know what you can give me for my birthday? Let mommy sleep tomorrow. Just let me sleep. Like, it's a shame that I'm getting to the point now where I'm like, I just want to sleep for my birthday. Like, that's the perfect gift. That's all I want is to sleep. So yeah, that's it. All right, y'all. I will check in at some point probably tomorrow. I'm off on Monday, so Monday might be one of those days too where I just read before I have to go back to work, which is super unfortunate, but we'll see how everything goes. All right, y'all. I will check in with you as I get my earring caught. Aren't these cute? I got these from a vendor that came to my job, and I really want another pair of earrings from her. So hopefully I can find her at the end of the month, and which is this week coming up. Hopefully she's there and I can get another pair of earrings from her, because I really like these. These have been great. All right, I'm done. Bye. Not a big fan of this lighting, but it's fine. And I feel like I have I don't know, got some weird itchy spots. Hey y'all, just checking in on progress that I've made. I did not go to work today, and so I didn't spend today reading, which is shocking. It was like, oh yeah, if I don't have to work today, I'm gonna spend all day reading. That's not true. That is so stinking far from the truth. That is the complete opposite, in direct opposition of what I did today. I spent most of my day updating my spreadsheet, the spreadsheet that I got from Allie. Oh, I'm so happy to say that I am caught up, because I hadn't done August's stuff in there, and I needed to do that, and then I caught most of the way up with September. So when I sit down to do my September wrap up next week, I will not feel super overwhelmed that the spreadsheet is not completed and needs to be completed. So far for this video, we have unhauled 3 volumes of manga, and we have kept one. And that's, we're just gonna keep trucking on through. So I actually did, my daughter had dance practice today, and so because she had dance practice and we are not allowed in the studio, I sat in my car and I read Beastars Volume 2 by Paru Itagaki. I had read Volume 1 a while ago and really enjoyed it, gave it 4 stars, and I was like, it's time for me to pick up Volume 2. Y'all, I'm saying 5 because I'm so close to giving this 5 stars. This was really good. I don't know why I stopped at Volume 1. I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I immediately put Volume 3 on hold at the library because honestly, y'all, I'm trying not to buy manga right now, which is super hard. But once again, I'm not trying to add to my collection by my pocket. A lot of stuff gets added to my collection because I get sent stuff. I literally went outside today and I had 2 packages waiting at my door. Some of this stuff is kind of inevitable and it makes things a little bit more difficult on my end, but one way that I can slow down what's getting added to my collection is by me not buying stuff until if I'm desperate to continue something and my library has it. I think at this point I need to make sure that I'm invested in using my library to continue on with series, right? I think that needs to be a main priority. For things that I can't get from my library, just because our collection development policy just won't allow us to acquire those things, then in that case, I will, buy that out of my pocket and attempt to read those immediately. I think that's kind of the best solution that I have, because let's be honest, I am running out of space. And I thought about that, where I shifted my entire shelves, and I do technically have 2 shelves that are kind of more on the empty side, but in the grand scheme of things, like, I cannot keep all of these things, and I want to keep things that I know that I am destined to reread, or things that are like true favorites. So this is one that I had not read, and I really enjoyed it. Now, looking back at this shelf, which I know I'm probably going in and out of focus, so I apologize for that. I'm not sure what I want to go for next. I wish I had answers about that, but I'm also low-key in a mood reading phase, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure what I'm going to go with next, but I just wanted to give you a heads up. I saw my Danmei back there, and honestly, that's what I should read. I should go back and read my Danmei and continue, but I know what my goal is. I do have the Cursed Princess Club Volume 2 upstairs. I may start that tonight, but I have to edit a video for my patrons and get that up tonight because I owe them that video. I think tomorrow during my lunch break, I'm not going to be able to read. I'm going out to lunch with some coworkers, so that's kind of out. But we don't have any after school activities tomorrow, so maybe I can get some stuff read then. But you know what I may do? I do have Shannon Hale's new graphic novel, Dream On, over there that just released, and I think that I need to get that read. And so I may take a look at some of my middle grader children's graphic novels and see if I want to pull something from there. But this is a keeper. I'm telling y'all, I'm really gunning for that 5 stars, because I really did enjoy it. It was really good, good enough for me to immediately, like I said, put volume 3 on hold. So I'm going to do that. I do want to, because here's the conundrum here. I want to keep reading for 30 and 30. I think that I am actually now technically behind, because I'm going to be honest with y'all, I did not read at all leading up to our birthdays. It was just too much for me to read and try to get things. It was just too much. It was way too much for me to do that. I was just too busy, too exhausted. So I didn't read as much as I thought I was going to read, and honestly, I didn't push myself to read. So I still probably need to get like 1 or 2 volumes of manga read. I'm gonna figure something out between now and the time that I go to bed, because tomorrow's my first day back at work, and we will figure it out, and I will give y'all an update. I didn't even tell you what Beastars is about. That's wild of me, like this assumption that everybody knows. So Beastars is a series where we are following animals that go to this school, and they are separated literally by carnivore and herbivore, and they are supposed to coexist and work together. But there are some things that happen, and it's difficult to maintain the peace between the animals. So we're following a wolf by the name of Legoshi, and it is very interesting watching him deal with some things that happened in the first volume, and watching the dynamics of the group kind of change in this second volume. I'm very interested, and I think this is on Viz. I may be able to read it on Viz Media app on my Kindle. I didn't even think about that. Instead of waiting for the 3rd volume to come in, I literally can just go ahead and start the next volume, which I may go ahead and do that. But yeah, it's just very interesting situation there. But we'll see how the story progresses. And if this is something that I want to reread, I will collect it. If not, I just will let it go. But I'm going to figure things out, and I will update y'all once I have said things out. Bye. Am I out of breath and tired? Yes, Lord. Yes. I am out of breath and so tired, friends. Hello. I am wrapping this up. So, Lord, this mess my child left on. Okay. I'm not going to think about it. I'm not going to you think about it. Don't think, Ashley. Don't think. Conceal. Don't feel. Child, left this table a mess. A hot mess. Anyway, I'm here to quickly wrap up this vlog because this has been going on for 3 weeks sporadically. And I about had it. I think this vlog has about had it. And I know that y'all finna be like, girl, we done. It's over. It's a wrap. I know. Okay? I know it's time. I know it's time to let it go. I do know this. But before I wrap it up, I want to let you know that regardless of whether this started off as a read it or unhaul it, it has been a successful read it or unhaul it, okay? Because I read not 1, not 2, not 3, but 9 things. Was it 9? It was 9. I read 9 things off of my shelf, 3 of them which I got rid of, okay? That's the most I've ever done in a read it or unhaul it. Granted, is it manga? Yes, it is. Mind your business. Mind your business. We are just getting one step closer to the fact that I am chipping away. This month, I may have said this in a vlog before or in a clip before, this month literally has been my highest month of reading things off of my shelf. I made a concerted effort this month to really power through a lot of the things that were on my shelf. And to be fair, I really have Herkit to thank for that, because one of the prompts for Herkit is to choose your own personal challenge, and mine was to read 50 books off of my shelf. 50. And I have already made it through a good chunk of that. At least 20% of that already. So I am inevitably proud of myself for doing that. The last couple of things that I did end up reading though, and I am keeping all of these, I am not unhauling them. I am keeping all of them. I'm not going to say this on camera because I feel like it will get flagged, but I read these. If you know anything about these, it's kind of hard to even talk about these because I don't want to get hit with any type of flags for content, but I read these. It was a reread of volume 1 for me. First time reading volume 2. Volume 1 I gave 5 stars again. Volume 2 I gave 4 stars too. Very, very cute series. A lot more heartwarming and charming than what people anticipate. I don't know how to explain that series. Just go look at the summary of it, and I think that'll do. I remember the first time I read it, I was like, I was not expecting it to be as wholesome as it was, but it definitely is a wholesome series that I will be keeping and maybe will revisit. I also ended up reading an Aizawa book, which I'm glad, because I did not know if I was going to get to Nana or not. See, what ended up happening is that from the time that I did that random clip on Monday, and I was like, oh yeah, took the day off, that week was hellacious. A lot happened. And when I say a lot happened within 48 hours, all work related. A lot happened. It felt like everything just became a tad bit chaotic. Not intentionally chaotic, it just became chaotic. And so, my friends, here we are. It did. It became a little too chaotic for my taste, but it is what it is. So I actually did not end up reading anything that I had planned to read for the week. I mean, I still read, clearly, but I didn't get through what I wanted to get through. But I did end up reading Last Quarter by Aizawa, which... I've been holding this because the imagery, she's supposed to be upside down, and I always want to make her right side up. So Last Quarter is a very interesting manga, very, very different from Nana. Illustrations, of course, because it's Aizawa, the characters look very similar to the characters in Nana, but this focuses on I can't tell what the timeline is exactly just yet. I kind of have an idea, but I don't want to spoil it. But we are introduced to one specific character who meets this guy who she kind of falls in love with. I don't think he's a great guy, but she's also like 17 years old, feeling kind of neglected by her family. Something happens. And then we switch over to another character who is younger. She's in 5th grade, and the two of them meet. And that's as far as I'm going to let you know, because I do feel like part of the interesting aspect of this manga is figuring out how the two characters are connected. And I will say that this has more of a supernatural vibe to it. So this is only a 2-volume series. It originally I think was like 3 volumes, but they combined it into 2 bind-ups. And so now that I've read this, I technically could go and buy the 2nd volume, which I told myself, remember, I was not going to do that until I made sure I read it. Same thing with this. Finally, I read Delicious in Dungeon, Volume 3, 4 stars. I really enjoy this series. I think there is a sense of adventure about this, camaraderie. There are like just interesting tidbits about the world itself. There's great character building. I feel like in this we got a flashback of a specific character and got to see a little bit more of her development. I'm excited to see where the story itself is going to go. I am not going to buy volume 4. Not to say that I won't complete the series, but I am starting to, I think I may have said this earlier, I'm starting to get into this process of, if I can read the whole series from the library, I will do that. And then if it's something that I think I want to reread, I will go forward and I will collect it. So I don't want to necessarily unhaul it, but because I do have volume 2, I believe, and I don't want to unhaul it, but also at the same time, I don't feel super inclined to collect the rest of the series right now. It is a good series, but I do want to see if it's going to be a series that I can reread, right? So like, I've collected Nana, I've collected Food Wars, and those are series that already I've read certain volumes 3-4 times. Like, those have staying power in my house, and that's why I wanted physical copies. Whereas Delicious in Dungeon is really, really good. I'm enjoying it, but I want to make it through all 14 volumes and then see, like, do I want to reread this? And if I decide I don't want to reread it, then I will unhaul volumes 2 and 3, right? This is kind of a learning process for me as well, because though I have not really been into book buying like that in the past few years, I do think that this would be a way for me to kind of undo some of the things that I have done in the past. And this is a personal moment for me, right? This is not a judgment or an outline of what anybody else should be doing in terms of their book buying, collecting. That's not my business. At the end of the day, I'm grown and I make my own financial decisions, but also I think realistically in terms of space and like what I have here in this house. Like, I can't continue to keep this volume of material, and so I do have to make some conscientious decisions about, if I'm reading this material, is it something that I can see myself revisiting in the future? Is it something that I want to go back and hold on to, or are these books that I'm just keeping here for the sake of keeping them, right? So there's been a little bit of rereading, little bit of exploring things. This is why I have decided to keep Defied Island, because I do think it has staying power, and I do think that that's a story that in the future I would want to go back and revisit. Aizawa is just a favorite mangaka of mine, so that's just something that I would continue to collect. Some of these other things where like I have these random 1-2 volumes, if it's not a series that is going to stay with me, I don't need to keep it. And that's a hard pill to swallow, especially as someone who was once big into collecting, but also at 34 years old, you know, you have to think about what is best in terms of collection related things. So there's that. But that's it, y'all. Thank you for joining me on this wild ride of a vlog. I know it's like, girl, it started one way and now we're here. Don't worry about how we got here. Okay, don't worry about the journey, just know that you made it to the end, and that's what's most important. Anyway, if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more content from me, click the subscribe button, hit the bell for notifications. If you're looking for ways to support me on any type of platform, Patreon, whatever, follow me on social media. All those links will be down in the description box below, and I will be back with another video soon. Bye.